I was born in 1959 when the country was in the grips of the Cold War. After World War II, the tensions between the US and the Soviet Union escalated in what they called an arms race. Each country, US and the Soviet Union, spent billions of dollars building ballistic and nuclear weapons. When I was a kid, I was always taught that the Russians were bad people and they were on the verge of launching missiles into major cities within the US. Every year in elementary school, we would have what we called bomb drills, where a siren would go off and we would need to hurry out of the classrooms and kneel against the hallway walls and cover our heads in preparation for a bomb strike. It was pretty scary. In every movie we saw, the Russians were portrayed as the bad guys, and of course, the Americans were the good guys. But young people and kids everywhere were afraid of the Russians. Well, after I graduated high school, I joined the Air Force, and I took some tests and was selected to become what they called a Russian linguist. The Air Force sent me to language school where I studied Russian language 8 hours a day for 18 months. I learned how to read, write, speak, and translate Russian. After all that training, they sent me to a small communications base in England. At this base, it was my job to intercept Russian communications using radio receivers that were connected to huge antennas. This antenna picked up radio transmissions throughout all of the Soviet Union. I would listen in on Russian communications from places like Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev, Chelyabinsk, Omsk, and many other cities throughout the Soviet Union. Not only did I have to listen in on Soviet transmissions, I also had to translate those communications on what they called a teletype machine, sort of like a computer in the 1980s. It was sometimes really challenging to have to type out the translation at the same time I was listening to the transmissions. We had to type really quickly. Some of those transmissions I listened to were things like when there was a movement of troops from one location to another location within the Soviet Union. From those transmissions, I was able to find out the size of the troops or regiments, the number of vehicles, the equipment of the troop movements, and also why they were moving. In cases where we found a lot of troop movement in a particular area, I had to notify the National Security Agency in Maryland that there was some unusual activity taking place. The NSA would then combine my information along with many other bits of information from other U.S. military personnel and decide what action to take. I also had to track the movement of Russian MiG fighters if they were scrambled or sent up in the air to intercept U.S. Reconnaissance flights. See, there was a lot of activity on the Eastern European border. If Russian MiGs flew too close to our airspace, I had to immediately alert the National Security Agency of that activity. Overall, my time in the Air Force was a very interesting experience during that Cold War. Sometimes exciting, sometimes boring, and once in a while even a little scary.